Hey guys, it's Mike Joseph here today, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing two different business models that most barbershops have, which is booth rental versus commission. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'll be sharing my screen, switching over to the whiteboard, as you see right here. Now, obviously, there are other types of business models barbershops can have. For example, you could do a combination of both, a booth rent plus commission, or you could do the paying your barbers by the hour, or on a salary wage. But today I want to compare the most familiar one, which is a booth rental and a commission shop. And what I'll do is first I want to talk about the income potential between both types of shops. So, guys, if you're not familiar with if you're not 100% familiar with booth rent versus commission, a booth rental shop, barbers are paying you a flat fee. So usually they pay weekly, and on average, it's anywhere from as low as 125 to as high as 300 per week, right? Whereas a commission shop, they're getting a percentage of all the pretty much you're getting a percentage of money coming to the shop. So let's say, for example, you made $200 for a day, and with the customers, they're going to get a percentage of that, and that ranges as low as anywhere from 30%, or let's say 25%, to as high as 50%. That goes back to the actual barbershop. Now, obviously, these range. I've seen percentages actually a lot lower, and I've seen percentages a lot higher. And the same thing goes for a booth rental shop. What helps dictate what these fees are, or what the percentages are, is usually how many customers are coming into the shop, or what the goals are for the actual business. So now, in most cases, right, let's say this is you, the business owner, right? And again, the one on the left is your booth rent. Right here is, is your commission. So, and now we're gonna, like I said before, I want to first compare the income potential for both of them, right? How much money can you make as owning a booth rental model, and how much income you could be generating from a commission shop. And then we'll talk about the pros and cons of each. And then by the end of this video, you guys should have a clear idea of which one might work better based on your situation. So most shop owners, they are actual barbers themselves. Um, so let's just say, for the sake of this video, let's say you're not, right? Let's say even if you are a barber, um, let's say this is you, and 1, 2, 3, 4 are your barbers or your employees, right? Now, let's say that both shops, right, are seeing around the same amount of customers, right? Let's say in total, let's say each barber is seeing around 200 customers, so it's about 800 customers that the shop is seeing. And let's say that the average amount of money being spent in your chair, right, at your shop is around $30. Let's just say it's $30. So that would mean that the business is generating anywhere around, I think it's, what's it, 24,000. So if I do 800 times 30, 24,000, right? So that's how much money the barbershop is generating, right? Now, as a business owner, it's great that it's generating this much money, but we have to figure out how much money is actually is profit, and what's the net profit, to make sure it's sustainable. So what we're going to want to do is first see, right, we know if you're a commission shop, and let's say you're earning 30%, right? In my opinion, I think is more like 35% is the average, but let's just say 30% is the average for this shop. So, which is a percentage. So let's say the shop, 30% of all revenue goes back to the business, goes back to the shop or the shop owner. So 24,000 times 30%, that's 7,200. That goes back to the business. Now, for a booth rent model, let's say the average spent in booth rent is $200, which is $800. I mean, it's $860. So let me see. So, because if you do 200 and you times that, I'm sorry, I screwed up the math. I take $200, right? That's how much a week. And I'm going to multiply that by 4.3, which is the average amount of weeks in a month. So I'm going to times 200 times 4, and that's 860. I'm going to get $860 from one barber, right? Now I have 4 barbers, so I'm gonna take that times $860, and the business is now making $3,440, right? So this is how much is going back to the shop for a booth rent. This is how much is going back to the shop for a commission. Now, again, this is without you being here. So if you're a barber, you obviously have potential to make more money. But if you're not, if we're just talking about straight business and how much a business can make when you're not there, because that's really what a business is. If you have to be there for the business to make money or to make more money, it's not so much a business. It's almost like you own a job. And again, like, I think the goal, anybody who's going into business, is to eventually remove yourself from the business and work on it and not in it. So let's go back to the numbers here. The most that you'll be able to make in a booth rental shop is $3,400. Most you'll be able to make is $7,200, based off of these numbers here. So again, when it comes to a booth rental shop, what, in my experience, most people who own a booth rental shop are barbers themselves, and they are actually cutting hair. So let's just say you are a barber and you're seeing around 200 customers a month, which is going to equal 200 times 200 times 30, meaning you are making 6,000, right? 6,000, and then we take 6,000, we take this from what you're making, and we add it from the booth rent, and now you're making close to 10 grand a month, which is great, right? So what we realized is, if you're a booth rental model, if the goal is to make more than 3,400, like a lot of businesses, they say their goal, they want to be able to make 10,000 a month or 15,000 a month. And listen, the shop can do that, right? The shop can make 24,000 a month, but at the end of the day, is how much is actually going back to the business for you to get there, right? So 24,000, you'll be able to take home at least 9,400 if you are cutting hair there as well. If you are a commission shop, and again, the same number, right? You're a barber, you're seeing 200 customers a month, just like everyone else. But some commission shops, the barbers are actually working at the shop as well until they're able to make enough where they can kind of sit back and take a manager role. So if we take 6,000 and we add that plus the 7,200, this is what we get. We get 13,200. Right, that's how much is coming. That's the income potential. So always, I've always favored commission, because the more money that's able to go back to the shop, the more you'll be able to reinvest back into your team, your barbers, buy better equipment, and be able to really market and advertise your shop effectively. And I think having a commission-based shop allows you that opportunity to do that. Whereas, as you can see, if we were just banking on the booth rent, we're very limited, right? Because obviously out of that 3,400, some of it has to go back into the rent, utilities, and other expenses for the business. So the profit margin is very little versus what you can do with commission shop. But again, there's always different scenarios. One way that the booth rent shop can work, right, is if you have more. Sorry, let me just change the color. If we have more barbers, right? Let's say now we have 9 barbers, right? So we'll kind of go back to this number here, right? 4 barbers. Let's change this to now 9 barbers, times 860. So if we have 9, we multiply that by 860. Now you're making a total of $7,740 a month, right? So booth rental model, I think, and then this is going to give you some more profit to be able to really market the barbers. So ideally, I think when it comes to booth rental shop, it works if you have enough space to hire more barbers. If you are starting a shop and you only have room for up to 4 barbers and it's a really small space, then commission might be your best bet, because if you take a booth rental shop, which we have here, right, if we take a booth rental shop and then we take a commission shop, the same amount of barbers, you're going to make more money with the commission shop every time. And again, because we're looking at customers here, whereas here you're only getting income from your barbers. So that's one of the biggest, that's one of the reasons why I would go to commission, because you can do it with less amount of people. And you can really focus on building a solid team that follows a system, right? So yeah, that's a difference when it comes to income. Now, so obviously everyone's situation is a little bit different. There's pros and cons to both. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, commission is the best one because you'll be able to make so much more money. There's a lot more work that goes into it. Some of the pros to being a booth rental shop is you really just have to focus. If you're a barber, right? If you're a barber yourself and you're cutting hair, and you have at least 4 people, you're going to make some good money. But if the end goal is for you to eventually leave this shop and stay as a manager, right? And just like make sure everyone's doing their job, you're only working for less than 3,400, because unless you increase the booth rent, and a lot of people aren't going to like that. So you increase the booth rent, you hire more barbers to make more money. But one of the reasons it could work is if you're a barber, you like your job, but you want to make some extra money, you can do a booth rent, even if it's up to 4 people. And if you really don't want to focus in on really marketing the shop and just marketing yourself, then you're good. Because most people who do booth rent, when you're hiring these barbers to come work at a booth rent shop, they're expected to do their own marketing, and because they're independent contractors, right? They really have no ties to the shop besides the space. So you have to come in. Most barbers who work under a booth rent, they're marketing themselves, or they have their own clientele. So you really don't have to worry about getting them customers. Whereas a commission shop, most barbers who are open to working at a commission shop are barbers either fresh out of school, they don't have their own clientele built up yet, and they're really expecting the shop owner to invest in their marketing and branding to help build up their clientele. So it's very different mindsets of barbers coming in. Again, with the commission shop, there's a lot more accountability that comes into, and let me just start writing this down. So with a commission shop, we're looking at you need to market the shop, you need to market the barbers, right? You're going to need to do it for both regardless. You need to market the shop regardless for both, because eventually, you want to be able to make sure that there's enough customers coming to the shop to keep these barbers happy so they stay and they don't leave you, right? Because again, your income is from your barbers. Regardless, you need barbers for both, but you definitely need more to hold these guys. So anyways, you need to market the barbers to bring in customers, because that's what's really going to keep you guys in business, as with both locations. But it's more focused on marketing, whereas booth rental, these guys are expected to market themselves. Another thing, it's going to require accountability, right? As in, you're most likely going to need a receptionist, or you're going to need to be there, right? You're going to need to be there in person to help with transactions, because when you're doing a commission shop, you want to make sure everyone's reporting the same amount. Usually there's like one cash register, one person could bring them. Like we have some shops that they have a receptionist where the receptionist will ring them up, or there's at least like they use like systems like Square, where they can come in, like a POS system like Square. Let me just write that: requires a POS system. Definitely to help track revenue, so you can be able to give everyone the money that they got from their customer. So it usually requires a POS system, some form of tracking to make sure that people are reporting what they're supposed to be reporting. Because even with booth rent, the issue is that a lot of, like, you have to, in every industry, you got to watch your employees, make sure that they're not trying to cheat the system or anything like that, because there are people who do that, not just in the barbershop industry. The next thing when it comes to having a commission shop, let me check my notes here. One thing I guess you can say the benefit is it's a lot more systematized. And what I mean is everyone will come in with the same pricing. Barbers are expected to come in, for their hours, for their shifts. So it's a lot easier to manage staff, manage staff. So it's more systematized, more process-based. Everyone follows a similar process. Because the thing is a lot of barbers who come on a commission, they come with an employee mindset, which is okay, right? I know there's a lot of gurus out there that say, hey, be your own boss. I mean, every barber becomes a barber because they want to work for themselves in some way or fashion. What I mean by they come with an employee mindset, or I guess I should say they come with more of a team mindset, the ability to work as a team, because it's not like everyone's getting either equal opportunity or because the shop is being marketed as a whole, which is great. Now you'll see when it comes to booth rent, right? When it comes to booth rent, it's very hard to manage staff because we have to remember they're coming in with the mindset that that they're paying. I pay booth rent. I'm coming in on my own hours, right? They come in on my own hours. They want to have their own pricing, right? Because some booth rental shops will have house rules where it's like, hey, everyone charges the same price. Everyone comes in at this time, or they'll have set schedules. It's not like come in whenever you want. But these barbers are paying they're paying to work to rent that spot. So they come with the mindset that, hey, I paid you, I'm doing what I want to do. And you can't really blame them for that, because with a booth rental model, it's almost like you're just subletting, right? You're just renting it. They're not really part of the brand itself. They're just renting the space. So I can't blame them for thinking like that. I mean, you're going to have some guys that'll come in and they'll follow your policy and procedures, but you're going to have a lot that are going to come with the mindset that, hey, I pay you booth rent. You can't really tell me what to do. So that's one of the cons. Obviously, like we talked about, is the income potential. You kind of have to be there unless you have the potential to open up at least 6 or 7 stations where you can have more barbers, so you can make more. So your possibility to make more money is there. So that's one thing. Another thing that I guess is a benefit is you don't, like, even though, like I said, managing staff is going to be tough, is the accountability. There's less accountability, because less accountability, and you don't have to market. Whoops, I have all these typos here. And marketing, because you just got to market yourself. Really, I mean, these barbers, they coming in with the expectation that they usually have their own clientele and they're just looking for a spot. It's good to market the shop regardless, because it's going to help bring in customers to keep them busy, so they don't want to leave, right? You don't want to hire you don't want to rent a chair to a barber and have a nice steady flow of income coming from that barber, and then they leave, and now you don't have a check coming in. So that's one of the benefits one of the things you got to do is continue to have a consistent flow of customers coming in. That way you don't have to worry so much about barbers leaving. Another thing that I guess you can say kind of helps is you don't got to manage. You literally, it's not like you won't. In my opinion, having most booth rental shops, the way they're run, and I've seen them run successfully. I've seen guys who have multiple locations, all from a booth rental shop. So I'm in no way saying that booth rental is not the way to go. Personally, I'm a bigger fan of commission, because, like I said, the ability to reinvest into your team and really have the resources to make your shop known, either through Facebook, Instagram, and all these type of ads that you can invest in with the opportunity you'll be able to get from a commission shop. But a booth rental shop, it could be just as successful. And I said, I've seen them done. There's a lot that, like, it's all about having certain systems in place when it comes to opening multiple locations. And I'll make a whole separate video that kind of goes a little bit deeper into that. But again, like I was saying, it could be done with the right branding and marketing in place to have a successful booth rent. And again, it's going to come with having a lot of chairs. But every successful booth rental shop I've seen has at least 9 or 10 stations, and that's what helps them stay in business, because they have so many chairs, which means they have so many barbers. And again, you take that 200 times that 4.3, 860 each barber, you're making at least 10 grand from a 10 chair shop, right? 9 grand. So it definitely helps. Now, what else can I tell you about booth rent? And I guess another downside when it comes to commission is, and I guess a difference between commission and a booth rent shop too, is the type of barbers that are coming in that you're getting, right? The barbers that you normally get are usually from a booth rental are usually highly skilled. They're usually highly skilled, but they're not so much of a team player. Okay, and what I mean by team player, I'm talking about follow rules, procedures, etc. Like, they won't be able to fit into your system. As in, like, a commission shop is, like I said, is very systematized. Most people who open up commission shops, they're really trying to expand and open up multiple locations. So they want to have a set process in place, so they're able to predict and really game plan for the future of, okay, this is when we can open our next shop. Whereas a booth rental shop, most of the time, it's usually a barber who says, hey, I want to open up my own business and I want to still cut hair, but I also want to have some other barbers so I can get some checks from coming in too, so I can make some extra money. So that's really the difference. But the barbers that come in are usually highly skilled and they have their own clientele. right? Their own clientele. You're usually not going to get. I mean, you could get some new barbers, obviously, that come in here, but for the majority, you're going to get a lot of people coming in that are skilled and they know how to market themselves, and they're not depending so much on you to market for them. Whereas the barbers you get here, like I said, they're going to be new. Barbers coming in are new, probably fresh out of school. They don't have any bad habits yet, so you can really mold them into your process or your business when it comes to building the brand for your shop on a commission base. So I guess another thing that I could go over with you guys is, let me see here. No, I think that's pretty much it. I think I'm gonna end it here. Sometimes I feel like I go on rants and on some of these videos, but again, ideally, I'm a big fan of commission because the amount of resources you're able to reinvest into your team, into your brand. Again, booth rental shop is good for somebody who's looking for who's not really into, like, they want to have a business or they want to make some extra money on the side. So it's a nice little side hustle. You're still making money from your personal clientele, but you have other barbers that are paying you a fixed fee to rent off your chair. So I mean, that's fine too. Ideally, I'm more about creating team culture, opening up multiple shops so we can create more jobs, create more impact on the community. I'm more for having more resources to really reinvest. And I guess my main thing is, my main thing for you guys is, think about why you started a business. If you started, because this is the thing, both of these, they all have their demons, right? They, at the end of the day, when you run, if you start your own business or you start your own shop, when you leave the shop, you're still going to be thinking about the shop. And that's just how it is in any type of business industry. Or if you open something of your own, you're always going to be thinking of different ways that you can promote yourself, separate yourself from everyone else. So they're both going to have you up at night thinking, okay, what can I do to be better? What are we doing now? How to market yourself, right? That's just part of the entrepreneurial mind. But the main thing is most people go into business to create some type of freedom from themselves. So again, if you go into business, the ultimate goal should be to get yourself out of it so you can work on the business and not inside it. So again, I always look at, what if we remove you from the equation and we're not looking at this number here? Sorry, we're not looking at, where is it here? Not looking at how it would be with you here, right? We want to look at these numbers, right? Because this is the money that's made when you're not there. These numbers right here. Because this is how you get yourself freedom, right? Now, again, booth rental, I feel like it comes with a lot less responsibility. And if you're okay with making this much, or if you want to make this much, I think if you're a booth rental and you say, hey, this is what I know, this is where I want to go, fine. You just need to get more barbers. You need to get more barbers. And to get more barbers, you need to get more customers. So regardless, you're going to have to do some type of marketing or advertising, something to really separate yourself. Make sure you find a shop with a big location so you can have the amount of chairs ready so you can make that kind of money, right? And same thing goes here. I mean, the nice thing is it's a much lower startup cost, in my opinion, because you don't need to invest in this many chairs and have that big of a space to make some decent money for your shop. But again, if you're trying to work yourself out of the business and you're going to go a booth rental model, don't start off with a 4-chair shop. Unless your long-term plan is to stay at this for a couple years, save some extra money until you can open up a much bigger location. I'm just highly recommending that you don't start a booth rental shop that only has the capacity to fit 3 or 4 chairs, because you're not going to make enough. You're not going to make enough to be able to work yourself out of the business, unless you plan on saving the little bits and pieces you have for another 3-4 years before you can open up another bigger location, or unless you break down some malls, but that's totally up to the landlord of that spot. But again, guys, those are the differences between booth rent and commission. If you're watching this video in my group, definitely invite any of your other barber friends, or tag them in this video, tag them so they can see this video. So the group I just mentioned, Barbers Hangout. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it's a group right on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/barbers hang out there. We have a lot of videos like this where we talk about different strategies, marketing strategies, ideas to bring in more customers, how to retain your customers, and how to find better barbers, things like that. Definitely find a lot of value in the group. And if you go to the group, go to the video section or go to the file section, you'll see some replays or some of the trainings we did inside that group. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, share this with all your with the community, with your friends, family, anyone who might benefit from knowing the differences between these two. Like I mentioned, there's other business models. Like I know some shops that have like a very low booth rental and they take a small commission off the barbers. You can go that route too. At the end of the day, in my opinion, you have to think of what is a long-term goal. Do you want to be cutting hair for the next 5 or 10 years? If that's the case, you might be okay going a booth rental model. But if you want to be able to open up multiple locations, or not just multiple locations, but if you want to create something where that's able to make money when you're not there, starting out commission might be a lot better for you. But definitely do your research, guys, and find out what works better for your goals, right? There's some people out there that will say, hey, this is the way to do it. This is the only way. You're wrong. I've seen people who've been able to make a killing off of commission. I've seen people who were able to make a killing off of a booth rental model. The patterns that I see is those who are doing very well on commission tend to have really good marketing behind them, really good marketing, branding, things like that. Those who do good in booth rental tend to have the same good in marketing, but they also have a lot of barbers. They have to have a lot of barbers, a lot of staff. And again, there's pros and cons with each. Like they say, more money, more problems, more staff, more liability. Same thing here. You're making more money. You got to make sure you're really dotting your I's and crossing your T's. There's different softwares that help you with that. Again, I'll probably make another video that goes over what's the best softwares for a shop that you can be using, as well as, what are different ways to help create culture inside the shop, how to attract better barbers that will fit into your mold for your vision for your barbershop. But again, guys, if you have any questions, drop a comment. If you like this kind of video, this style video where I kind of show the whiteboard and we break it down like this, let me know and I can make more videos like that. Again, I'm here to help you guys in the barbering community. Again, my name is Mike Joseph with VisualMedia Marketing. Any questions, please drop a comment. Or if you want me to cover a specific video or a specific topic, I can. Just let me know. I'm here for you guys. All right. I'll see you on the other video. Take care.